We will now continue with the second question and answer session. Our first question is from Peru. Go ahead, please.
This is from the University Ricardo Palma. Greetings from our university. And our question to the speaker is the following. How can we use foresight within a virtual project in the university in this global economy where, of course, we are using virtual technology for this type of a global economy? How can we use foresight for this?
Well, virtual technologies frees us from the constraints of our gender, our ethnicity, our age, and enables us to enter that cyberspace environment without any of the normal constraints that exist on us in everyday life. So I think it's wonderful to experiment with these new virtual technologies that can facilitate creativity. The whole creative process in creating foresight is to think outside the box or to tear down the box altogether. And when you do that, and that no idea is a bad idea, no idea is taboo, you begin to make leaps forward in thinking creatively and with great foresight.
Great, excellent. Next question is coming from Mexico, from our sister city, from our neighboring city, Tijuana.
Tijuana, hola Tijuana.
Yes, I'd like to ask the speaker, in terms of brainstorming, what would be the best time of day to concentrate and analyze brainstorming in an individual matter, that is?
Yeah, well, you know, people, please, go ahead. People have different biorhythms. So some people are morning people. Some people wake up and they're wide awake and ready to go, and that's the most creative time. Other people, it takes them a long time to wake up, but they're very productive in the late afternoon, on into the evening and into the night. One of the things I would do is, if you were doing a series of brainstorms, I would schedule them at different times. Because you might find that people's creative juices will flow better at certain times of day, and that person who was quite quiet in the morning would be available and productive in the afternoon.
Excellent. We have a fax question from Mexico, and here how it goes. When a work group conducts a brainstorming session and a member of the group does not accept this in an analytical fashion, what can we do?
Well, the first rule of brainstorming is that there's no bad ideas. Every idea can be on the table, even some seemingly ridiculous ideas. So if what this fax sender means is that they begin to argue against that is a taboo during the initial stages of brainstorming. Later on, people can discuss the pros and cons of it. Now, if this question means that they're engaging in an emotional fashion, you can either say that's not appropriate early on, or you can deal with why that person is behaving in an emotional rather than analytic fashion. What button have they touched? Is it something regarding sexism, or is it something regarding culture? Or so sometimes taking the time to digest why this person isn't treating this analytically is worth the time.
Excellent. Now, our next question again is faxed in from Ecuador, and I'll read for you. If women have developed superior syncretic reasoning, shouldn't all organizations strive to have more women in leadership positions?
Well, absolutely, organizations should have more women in leadership positions. Countries that have failed to tap into the great resource intellectually and energetically that women can provide are going to be left behind. I think, frankly, it's one of the problems Japan is running into. Countries that allow both men and women to be as creative and as productive as they can be are going to have an advantage over countries that aren't doing this. Now, men and women, and of course every individual, brings different things to the table. Many managerial and leadership skills are more typically male skills, but many of them are actually more typically female skills. Females are better readers of body language. They can intuit people's wishes better than men can. They're somewhat better listeners, and they sometimes are better at seeking collaboration. So it isn't a matter of gender. It's a matter of what this individual, be they male or female or of whatever age, brings to the table that can enhance the organization and create greater productivity for that organization.
Thank you. We go back to Mexico for a facts question again. Are knowledge entrepreneurs generally members of our younger generations?
Great question. A qualified yes, because knowledge entrepreneurs can be of any age. They can be teenagers and they can be octogenarians. There is no monopoly on this. But because there is a tendency to get set in our ways as we age, those of us that are somewhat older have to work very hard to continue to be on the cutting edge and innovate, where this comes naturally to young people. And so it is very important in organizations, in politics, in business, in education, to listen very well to the young people, because they may have knowledge and perspectives that those of us who are somewhat older lack.
All right. We are still staying with Mexico, and another one of our facts questions. Most new knowledge is being generated by industrialized nations. English language proficiency as a work skill rather than a second language is an increasingly crucial global competence. So the question is, how important is the English language?
Well, it is very important. It has become the lingua franca of the world, but competency in any language is very important. It is very important for Americans, people from the United States, not to think that they can do as well only with English. Even though my Spanish is poor, in countries in Latin America, yo hablo solamente español, pobre, but solamente español. So it is important sometimes to access a culture better when you can speak the language of that culture. So while English is becoming a more universal language, and it's good to have proficiency in it, I would say in Latin America, it's equally important for English speakers to have at least a minimal proficiency in Spanish, and that would be true of German or French in Europe.
And that's also true about developing your media assets in both languages, Spanish, English, or other languages.
Absolutely, and to be able to enter the internet on both Spanish or Portuguese websites as well as English websites, because there's unique information there, and there's sometimes cultural information from a particular culture that would not be available on an English website that would be very valuable in one's native language.
Very true. Thank you for your excellent questions, but we have run out of time. We hope that you have enjoyed participating once again in this exciting multilingual and multinational program. For further references and study, you can consult your valuable ITC Participants Manual. Our third live video conference of the year 2008 series, Excellence in the New Global Economy, airing October 9, 2008, will be titled Strategies for Organizational Excellence, Enhancing Productivity and Achievement. For additional information on this video conference series and its certification requirements, as well as dates and specific topics for other upcoming programs, please contact ITC. We remind you that all ITC programs are created by and copyrighted to Miguel A. Cardenas and may not be taped, stored, reproduced, or retransmitted in any form, in whole or in part, without the written consent of the author. On behalf of all of us at ITC, I thank you for your ongoing participation and interest in this unique program. Thank you and see you soon.